Welcome to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that affects millions of people across the United States: tenant rights. Whether you're renting an apartment in New York City or a home in rural Texas, there are legal rights you may not even realize you have. And knowing these rights can make a huge difference in your quality of life, financial security, and peace of mind. Let's uncover the legal rights of tenants in the U.S. that you didn't know about, and that landlords hope you never learn. Let's start with one of the most misunderstood rights: the right to a habitable home. Legally, every tenant in the U.S., regardless of the state, has a basic right to live in a safe, clean, and habitable property. This is called the implied warranty of habitability. It means your landlord is legally obligated to maintain the property so it meets basic health and safety standards. We're talking about functioning plumbing, safe electrical wiring, secure locks, and protection from pest infestations. If your heat breaks in the middle of winter or your roof leaks every time it rains, your landlord must fix it. And here's something many tenants don't know: if your landlord doesn't fix serious issues in a reasonable time, you might have the legal right to withhold rent, pay for the repairs yourself and deduct the cost from rent, or even break your lease without penalty. But always check your state's specific laws before taking these steps. Next is the right to privacy. Believe it or not, your landlord cannot just walk into your rental property whenever they want. Federal law supports the concept of quiet enjoyment, which includes your right to privacy. Most states require landlords to give at least 24 to 48 hours notice before entering, and they can only do so for legitimate reasons like repairs, inspections, or showing the property to future tenants. They cannot harass you, show up unannounced repeatedly, or enter your unit without notice unless it's an emergency, like a fire or gas leak. Now let's talk about security deposits. Did you know that in many states, landlords must return your security deposit within a specific time frame, usually between 14 to 30 days after you move out? And they must provide an itemized list of any deductions made. If they fail to return your deposit or deduct for false reasons, you can take legal action and may even be entitled to double or triple the amount of your deposit, depending on your state. Also, it's your legal right to receive a receipt or documentation for your deposit. Some states even require the deposit to be held in a separate interest-bearing account. You can request proof of where your money is being held and how it's being used. Another often overlooked right is protection from discrimination under the Fair Housing Act. Landlords cannot discriminate against you based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, disability, or familial status. That means they can't deny your application, charge higher rent, or offer different lease terms based on any of these factors. In many states and cities, there are even additional protections based on sexual orientation, gender identity, marital status, or source of income, such as housing vouchers or disability payments. Speaking of discrimination, if you have a disability, you have the right to request reasonable accommodations. That could mean allowing a service animal even if the building has a no-pet policy, installing a ramp, or providing accessible parking. Landlords are required to make these accommodations unless doing so would create an undue financial or administrative burden. Here's another surprising tenant right: the right to organize. Yes, tenants can form or join tenant unions. If you're facing issues like unfair rent hikes, lack of repairs, or harassment, organizing with other tenants gives you collective power. Landlords are not allowed to retaliate against you for joining a tenant group, attending meetings, or advocating for your rights. If they do, that could be considered illegal retaliation, and you may have grounds for a lawsuit. Let's talk about lease agreements. Even if you don't have a written lease, you still have rights. A verbal rental agreement is legally binding in many cases, especially if you're paying rent regularly. If you've been living in a place and paying monthly, you may be considered a month-to-month tenant with rights under your state's landlord-tenant laws. Don't let a landlord convince you that you're not protected just because you didn't sign a document. And on that note, even if you did sign a lease, it can't include illegal terms. For example, a lease cannot say that the landlord is not responsible for maintaining the property, or that they can enter your apartment at any time without notice. If a lease includes terms that violate state or federal laws, those terms are not enforceable. One lesser-known tenant right is protection from illegal eviction. Landlords can't just kick you out. Even if you're behind on rent, they must follow a legal eviction process, which includes providing written notice, giving you a chance to respond or fix the issue, and going through court to get an official eviction order. They can't change the locks, shut off utilities, or remove your belongings without a court order. That's called a self-help eviction, and it's illegal in most states. If you believe your landlord is trying to evict you illegally, document everything and contact a tenant attorney or local housing authority immediately. You may be able to fight the eviction and stay in your home. Now here's a right that's especially important in gentrifying neighborhoods: the right to advance notice for rent increases or non-renewals. In many areas, landlords are required to give 30, 60, or even 90 days notice if they plan to raise your rent or not renew your lease. In cities with rent control laws, like San Francisco or New York City, landlords may be limited in how much they can increase your rent annually, sometimes by as little as 2 or 3%. Knowing your local rent control laws can save you from surprise hikes or being priced out of your neighborhood. Let's not forget the right to fair treatment during disasters. If your rental becomes uninhabitable due to fire, flood, or natural disaster, you might have the right to terminate your lease, receive temporary housing assistance, or get a prorated refund of your rent. In some cases, local or federal disaster relief funds are available to help tenants recover. One final right that's rarely discussed is the right to sue your landlord. If your landlord violates your rights, whether by failing to return your deposit, refusing to make repairs, harassing you, or attempting an illegal eviction, you have the legal right to take them to small claims court or even higher courts, depending on the situation. You can seek compensation for damages, emotional distress, or even punitive damages if the violation was severe. Let's recap. As a tenant in the United States, you have more power than you think. You have the right to a habitable home, the right to privacy, the right to your security deposit, the right to be free from discrimination, the right to organize, the right to reasonable accommodations, the right to fair lease terms, the right to due process and eviction, the right to proper notice for rent changes, and the right to hold your landlord accountable through the courts. But here's the key: knowledge is power. Most tenants never exercise these rights because they simply don't know they exist. Don't be one of them. Read your lease carefully, research your state's landlord-tenant laws, and if you're ever in doubt, reach out to a tenant rights organization or legal aid group in your area. And one last tip: always keep documentation. Save texts, emails, photos, and receipts related to your rental. If things ever go south, having evidence can make or break your case. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you better understand your rights as a tenant, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with anyone who's currently renting or plans to. Your support helps us bring more valuable content to renters just like you. Stay informed, stay protected, and until next time, take care.